Welcome, dear listeners, to another chilling descent into the forgotten corners of history on the shadow behind you. I am your guide through the veil, the voice that whispers the tales too dark for the light of day. Tonight, we venture deep into the twisted heart of the American wilderness, where the land itself seems to harbor secrets etched in blood and bone. Picture this: the year is 1893, and the Ozark Mountains rise like jagged spines from the earth, cloaked in perpetual fog that clings to the hollows like a shroud. These are not the gentle hills of folklore, no. These are labyrinthine realms where rivers carve hidden paths through limestone caverns, and the trees, oh, the ancient oaks and hickories, stand sentinel, their branches twisting like arthritic fingers grasping at the self there. Imagine yourself there, alone on a narrow trail as dusk falls. The air grows thick, heavy with the scent of damp earth and decaying leaves. A chill wind rustles the underbrush, carrying faint echoes, perhaps the cry of a distant owl or something more sinister, a murmur that sounds almost human. You've heard the stories, haven't you? Whispers passed around campfires by settlers who dared to encroach on these lands. Tales of vanishing travelers, of families swallowed whole by the mountains, never to be seen again. But tonight, we unearth a legend buried even deeper, one that pulses with the raw, primal horror of human desperation and forbidden rites. It begins with a tribe long forgotten, their name lost to the winds of time, though some scholars whisper of echoes from the Osage or Quapaw peoples who once roamed these wilds. In the shadowed valleys of the Ozarks, where the sun struggles to pierce the canopy, this tribe clung to traditions as old as the rocks themselves, rituals born of survival in a land that devours the weak. But in 1893, amid a brutal winter that froze rivers solid and starved the game from the forests, something unnatural stirred. A pair of twins were born under a blood moon, their arrival heralded by omens, wolves howling in unison, streams running red with unexplained silt, and elders dreaming of feasts where the flesh served was not from beast, but from kin. These were no ordinary children. The cannibal twins, as the legend names them, embodied a curse woven into the tribe's dark traditions, rites of consumption, where the eating of flesh was not mere savagery, but a sacred act to bind the soul to the land, to absorb the strength of the fallen. But what if such rituals awakened something far older, a hunger that could not be sated? A duality of innocence and monstrosity, mirrored in their identical forms, that would tear the tribe apart and echo through generations. As we delve into this tale, feel the fog seeping into your bones, the weight of unseen eyes watching from the trees. Is that a branch snapping behind you, or the soft footfall of something that should have remained buried? Listen closely, for the shadows are alive tonight, and they hunger for your attention. The legend of the cannibal twins is not just a story. It's a warning, etched in the very soil of the Ozarks, reminding us that some traditions are better left to rot in the earth. Let me paint the scene more vividly. The Ozarks in 1893 were a frontier on the edge of civilization. Railroads were just beginning to snake through the hills, bringing loggers and miners who scoured the land for timber and lead. But deeper in, where the maps grew vague and the paths treacherous, indigenous ways persisted in secrecy. The tribe, let's call them the Akota, a name I've borrowed from whispers in old journals, lived in a hidden hollow known as Whispering Gulch, encircled by sheer cliffs veined with quartz that gleamed like teeth in the moonlight. This was a place where the veil between worlds thinned. Elders spoke of spirits that walked among the living, demanding tribute in blood. The birth of the twins came during the Great Freeze, a winter so harsh that even the sturdiest cabins groaned under the weight of snow. Food stores dwindled, and the tribe turned to their ancient law, the rite of the eternal feast. It was said that in times of famine, the strongest warriors would partake in the flesh of the deceased, not out of madness, but to carry their essence forward, ensuring the tribe's survival. But this rite had rules: only the willing, only the honored dead. What happened that fateful night twisted those rules into something profane? The mother, a woman named Lyra, daughter of the chief, labored in a sweat lodge lit by flickering torches. Her screams mingled with the wind howling through the gulch. The father, a hunter called Thorn, paced outside, his breath fogging in the icy air. When the twins emerged, two boys, pale as moonlight, with eyes like polished obsidian, the midwives gasped. One twin, they said, cried with the voice of a human child. The other echoed with the growl of a beast. Omens piled upon omens, a raven perched on the lodge's roof, refusing to fly away, and in the fire's embers, shapes formed that resembled devouring jaws. Word spread through the tribe like poison in a stream. Some saw the twins as a blessing, harbingers of renewal after the famine. Others whispered of the old prophecy. When mirrors are born in hunger's shadow, they shall consume the light. The chief, Lyra's father, decreed a feast to honor them, but as the meat, venison from a rare kill, was prepared, a strange unease settled. That night, under the blood moon, the twins nursed not just from their mother, but seemed to draw the very warmth from the air, leaving those around them shivering. As days turned to weeks, peculiar events unfolded. Animals vanished from traps, found later with bites that matched no known predator. Villagers dreamed of being chased through endless forests by figures that split into two, always one step behind. And the twins. They grew unnaturally fast, their bond so tight that when one hungered, the other fed first. The tribe's shamans consulted the spirits, casting bones into sacred fires, but the answers were cryptic. The hunger walks on four legs, but feasts as one. Dear listeners, can you feel it? That prickling on your neck, as if the story itself is breathing down your spine. This is merely the gateway. As we step deeper into the narrative, prepare to uncover the horrors that birthed the legend. A tale of flesh and shadow, where the line between survival and damnation blurs into oblivion. Stay with me, for in the Ozarks, the past never truly dies, it simply waits, ravenous in the dark. And so we plunge into the heart of the tale, where the mist-shrouded paths of Whispering Gulch lead us to the Akota tribe's fateful winter. Let me guide you through the snow-laden trails, where every crunch underfoot echoes like breaking bones. The year 1893 had been unkind to the Akota. The summer droughts had withered their cornfields, and autumn hunts yielded meager game. By December, the gulch was a frozen tomb, the river iced over, trapping fish beneath unyielding sheets. Families huddled in longhouses woven from bark and hide, sharing fires that barely warded off the cold. Whispers of starvation circled like vultures. Chief Cale, a man weathered by 60 winters, with scars from bear claws crisscrossing his chest, ruled with a firm yet compassionate hand. He had led the tribe through relocations forced by encroaching settlers, always finding refuge in the Ozarks' hidden folds. His daughter Lyra, 25 and fierce as a mountain cat, had married Thorn, the tribe's finest tracker, whose arrows never missed. Their union was meant to strengthen the bloodline, but the spirits, it seemed, had other plans. On the night of the twins' birth, December 21st, the winter solstice, the gulch was alive with unnatural energy. Snow fell in heavy curtains, muffling the world. Yet the midwives' chants pierced the veil. Lyra's labor was protracted, her body racked by pains that seemed to emanate from the earth itself. Thorn outside sharpened his knife on a whetstone, the rhythmic scrape a futile attempt to steady his nerves. The elders gathered, burning sage that filled the air with acrid smoke, invoking protection from the ancestors. When the first twin emerged, slick and wailing, the midwives wrapped him in deerskin. They named him Aaron, meaning light-bearer, for a faint glow seemed to hallow his head in the torchlight. But moments later, the second twin, Aaron, Shadow Weaver, slid into the world silently, his eyes open and unblinking, fixed on his brother. The women exchanged glances. Twins were rare among the Akota, viewed as omens of balance or chaos. In their lore, twins represented the dual nature of the world, day and night, life and death. But these boys shared a chord that pulsed even after severance, as if their hearts beat as one. The feast that followed was meager but symbolic. Chief Kyle slaughtered the last goat. Its blood spilled on the frozen ground as offering. The tribe ate in silence, the meat tough and stringy, yet it warmed their bellies. As the fire crackled, stories were told of past famines, when the rite of the eternal feast had saved them. "We consume to endure," Kyle intoned, his voice gravelly. "The flesh of our kin becomes our strength, binding us eternal." But no one spoke of invoking it yet. The dead were few, and the rite demanded consent. In the weeks that followed, the twins thrived while the tribe withered. Lyra nursed them in the dim light of their lodge, her milk flowing abundantly despite her own gaunt frame. Aaron was lively, cooing and reaching for fingers. Erin was still, observing with those obsidian eyes that seemed to absorb light. Thorn hunted daily, venturing farther into the blizzard, swept woods, but returned empty-handed more often than not. One dawn, he found a deer carcass near the gulch's edge, gutted cleanly, but with peculiar bite marks, small and precise, like those of a child. Rumors spread. Old Mira, the shamaness with hair white as snow, dreamed of the twins splitting a single heart between them, devouring it raw. She consulted the spirit stones, tossing them into a bowl of water from the sacred spring. The patterns formed jaws wide and gaping. "The hunger is born," she warned Kale. "It will consume from within." As January's grip tightened, the first deaths came. A child succumbed to fever, her tiny body laid on a pyre. The tribe mourned, but eyes turned to the right. Cal hesitated. The girl was not willing, not honored in battle. But desperation gnawed. That night, under cover of storm, a few warriors, led by Thorn's brother, Gar, performed the forbidden act. They carved portions from the body before cremation, cooking them in secret. Strength returned to them, but so did nightmares, visions of the dead rising, flesh hanging from bones, demanding more. The twins, now a month old, began to exhibit strangeness. Aaron would cry only when Erin stirred restlessly, as if sharing pain. One evening, Lyra found them in their cradle, Aaron's hand in Erin's mouth, tiny teeth marks on the skin, but no blood, only a faint suckling sound. She pulled them apart, heart pounding, but the boys merely stared, unperturbed. Tensions mounted. Settlers from nearby Eureka Springs reported missing livestock, blaming savage Indians. Scouts from the tribe ventured out, finding tracks that led back to the gulch, human tracks, small and paired. Chief Kale called a council. Around the central fire, faces illuminated by flickering flames, accusations flew. "The spirits are angry," Mira declared. "The twins have awakened the Wendigo's kin." Though the Wendigo was a legend from northern tribes, whispers of similar entities, flesh eaters born of famine, haunted Ozark tales. Thorn defended his sons. "They are children, blessings," but doubt crept in when he caught Erin gnawing on a bone from the stew pot, his gums bleeding yet smiling. The tribe divided. Some advocated exile, others protection. As February dawned, a blizzard sealed the gulch, trapping them with their growing dread. One fateful night, Gar vanished while on watch. Search parties found only blood-stained snow and scraps of clothing. Panic ensued. Mira performed a divination, her chants rising like smoke. "The mirrors feed," the spirits replied through her trance. Eyes turned to the twins' lodge. Lyra, protective, barred the door, but Thorn, tormented, confessed his part in the rite. "We invited the hunger," he whispered. As the storm raged, the twins' cries merged into a single, haunting wail that echoed through the gulch, drawing something from the shadows. Listeners, can you hear it now? That low, insistent call pulling at your insides. The narrative deepens, the true horror awaits in the unfolding darkness. The storm that sealed Whispering Gulch in February 1893 was no ordinary tempest. It howled like a living entity, battering the longhouses with fists of ice and snow. Inside, the Akota tribe huddled, their fires sputtering against the cold that seeped through every crack. The disappearance of Gar marked a turning point, the first thread unraveling in the fabric of their world. Chief Kyle, his face etched deeper with worry, organized searches, but the blizzard erased all traces. Only a single clue remained, a small, bloody handprint on a tree trunk too tiny for an adult. Suspicion festered like an open wound. Lyra clutched her twins closer, whispering lullabies that trembled with fear. Aaron and Erin, now 2 months old, had grown to the size of 6-month-olds. Their bodies plump while others starved. Their eyes followed movements with unnatural precision, and at night, soft chewing sounds emanated from their cradle, though nothing was found but saliva-slicked blankets. Thorn, racked by guilt, confessed to the council. The right, we desecrated it. Gar and I, we took from the child without honor. Gasps rippled through the gathering. Mira, her voice a rasp, proclaimed, "The hunger has a vessel now. It mirrors itself in the twins." The elders debated expulsion, but Cal refused. "They are blood. We protect our own." As days blurred into endless white, more vanished. First, an elder woman, her lodge empty save for gnawed bones from her meal. Then a young hunter, his spear left behind, trail leading to the twins' vicinity. Whispers became accusations. One night, a mob formed, torches guttering in the wind. They stormed Lyra's lodge, finding her asleep. The twins awake and staring. Erin's mouth was smeared red, not with berry juice, but something thicker. Chaos erupted. Thorn fought them off, his knife flashing, but in the melee, Eren was struck. A shallow cut on his arm. Eren screamed, a sound that pierced souls, and Aren's wound healed before their eyes, flesh knitting like spider silk. The mob fled, terrified. "Demons," they cried. The twins' bond deepened into something monstrous. They moved in sync, one reaching as the other grasped. Lyra noticed they no longer nursed separately. Eren would feed, then regurgitate for Eren, a grotesque mimicry of bird behavior. Dreams plagued the tribe, visions of the twins merging into a single entity with two heads, devouring all. Chief Kyle, desperate, invoked the full right of the eternal feast. "We must offer willingly," he declared. A volunteer, an old warrior named Soren, agreed to sacrifice. In a cavern deep in the cliffs, lit by bioluminescent fungi that cast eerie green glows, they performed the ritual. Soren drank a potion of herbs, slipping into death. His flesh was portioned, consumed in solemn ceremony. Strength returned, but so did the horrors. That night, the twins escaped their cradle. Lyra awoke to empty blankets, panic seizing her. The tribe searched, finding them in the cavern, surrounded by Soren's remains, bones picked clean, far beyond what the rite allowed. The boys sat back to back, bloodied but serene, their bellies distended. Exile was decreed. Thorn and Lyra, bound by love, fled with the twins into the blizzard. They trekked through snow, choked passes, the wind biting like teeth. Strange events followed, paths appeared where none should, leading them deeper. Animals, rabbits, deer, lay dead in their way as if offered. The twins cooed contentedly. In a hidden cave they sheltered. Thorn hunted, but the twins' hunger grew. One dawn, he returned to find Lyra wounded, bites on her arm. "They needed," she murmured. Horror dawned. The twins were feeding on the living. Conflicts escalated. Thorn confronted them, but their eyes, now glowing faintly, held him paralyzed. Euron whispered, voice impossibly mature, "Why are the feast eternal?" Eren echoed, "Join us." Back in the gulch, the tribe suffered. Apparitions appeared, ghostly twins stalking the edges, luring victims. Mira attempted a banishing ritual, burning effigies, but flames turned blue, consuming her instead. Thorn's family fractured. Lyra, weakened, succumbed. Her last words, "Forgive them." The twins fed, growing taller, their forms elongating unnaturally. Thorn, mad with grief, tried to kill them, but they turned on him, their bites injecting a venom that twisted his mind. He became their guardian, leading them back to the gulch. The final assault came under a thawing moon. The twins, now toddler-sized but with adult cunning, infiltrated the longhouses. Screams rent the night as they consumed, not killing outright but leaving victims hollowed, alive yet empty. Chief Cal faced them, axe in hand. "What are you?" he roared. "We are the tradition," they replied in unison, voices layering like echoes. In the battle, Cal wounded Eren, but Eren absorbed the pain, healing his brother. They overpowered him, feasting as the tribe fled. By spring, Whispering Gulch was abandoned, the survivors scattering, carrying the legend. Settlers found the ruins, bones scattered, and whispered of cannibal spirits. The twins vanished into the mountains, but sightings persisted, paired shadows in the mist, luring the lost. Listeners, the tale lingers, a chill that clings. What became of them? The shadows know, and they wait. To truly grasp the legend of the cannibal twins, we must peel back the layers of time, delving into the real history and folklore that birthed such a nightmarish tale. The Ozark Mountains, spanning Arkansas, Missouri, and Oklahoma, have long been a crucible of cultural collisions and ancient mysteries. In 1893, this region was on the cusp of transformation, yet steeped in traditions that echoed from prehistoric times. Let us wander these historical paths, where fact and myth intertwine like vines over forgotten graves. The Ozarks' indigenous peoples, including the Osage, Quapaw, and Cherokee, many forcibly relocated via the Trail of Tears in the 1830s, maintained rich oral traditions. Twins held symbolic weight in many Native American cultures. Among the Cherokee, for instance, twins were seen as embodiments of duality, often linked to creation myths where twin brothers represented order and chaos. The Osage revered twins as potential medicine people, but with caution, for their power could tip toward destruction if unbalanced. Cannibalism, though rare in practice, appears in folklore as a metaphor for extreme survival or spiritual transgression. The Wendigo legend, borrowed from Algonquian tribes, but adapted in southern tales, describes a spirit that possesses humans during famine, driving them to consume kin. In the Ozarks, similar stories emerged among settlers and natives alike, influenced by harsh winters like the one in 1893, a year marked by the blizzard of '93, which dumped feet of snow and caused widespread starvation across the Midwest. Historically, 1893 was tumultuous. The Panic of 1893 triggered economic collapse, exacerbating rural hardships. In the Ozarks, mining booms in lead and zinc drew outsiders, clashing with indigenous holdouts. Reports from the time, archived in newspapers like the Arkansas Gazette, speak of Indian disappearances in remote hollows, often attributed to feuds or accidents, but locals whispered of curses. The Akota, while fictionalized here, draw from real groups. The name evokes the Cherokee town of Ekota, a historical capital. Their rite of the eternal feast mirrors documented practices. Some tribes, like the Kwakiutl far north, had ritual cannibalism in ceremonies, but in the Ozarks, it's more folkloric. European settlers brought their own tales, grim like stories of Hansel and Gretel, or the Scottish Sawney Bean cannibals, blending with native lore. Archaeological evidence adds eeriness. Ozark caves yield bones with cut marks suggesting defleshing rituals from Mississippian cultures pre-1500 AD. The Spiro Mounds nearby reveal artifacts depicting dual figures, perhaps twins, in mortuary contexts. Cultural trauma amplifies the legend. Colonization's wounds, land loss, disease fostered stories of vengeful spirits. In 1893, the Dawes Act was dismantling tribal lands, forcing assimilation. Legends like the Cannibal Twins may symbolize this consumption of culture, where traditions twist under pressure. Folklore collectors like Vance Randolph in the 20th century documented Ozark tales of aids and flesh-eaters. One story from Boone County, Arkansas, tells of twin ghosts haunting a hollow after a famine murder in the 1800s. Similar to our legend, they lure victims with cries mimicking babies. The blood moon omen ties to lunar eclipses. One occurred in December 1892, close enough to inspire dread. Omens like ravens and red streams echo shamanic practices where nature signals imbalance. Blending fact and folklore creates unsettling authenticity. Was there a real tribe in Whispering Gulch? Maps show unnamed hollows near the Buffalo River, sites of abandoned settlements. Explorer journals from the 1800s describe savage rites exaggerated for sensationalism, fueling myths. In educational terms, this legend teaches resilience amid adversity, but eerily warns of hubris. Tampering with taboos invites chaos. As we explore, remember, the Ozarks guard their secrets, and some histories are written in blood, waiting to be unearthed. Now, as the fog of narrative clears, let us descend into the abyss of meaning, dissecting the legend of the Cannibal Twins with an intellectual scalpel, yet under the pall of ominous dread. This tale is no mere campfire yarn. It pulses with symbolic veins, tapping into universal fears, cultural scars, and the shadowy recesses of human nature. Feel the weight of analysis, like chains in the dark, pulling us toward truths we'd rather leave buried. At its core, the twins embody duality, a motif as ancient as humanity. In psychology, twins represent the split self, the ID and ego, shadow and light. Aaron, the light bearer, and Aaron, the shadow weaver, mirror this Jungian archetype. Their bond, healing each other's wounds, suggests codependency turned toxic, a metaphor for relationships that consume rather than nurture. In the story, their unity devours the tribe, symbolizing how internal divisions, be they personal or societal, can lead to self-destruction. Cannibalism, the legend's grotesque heart, delves into primal taboos. Anthropologically, it signifies incorporation, eating another to gain their power. But here, it's inverted, a curse of endless hunger, akin to the Greek Tantalus or modern zombie lore. It connects to fears of scarcity. In 1893's famine, it warns that survival instincts can erode morality. Psychologically, it's the oral stage gone awry, perfrude, regression to infantile devouring amid trauma. Thematically, the tale explores cultural trauma. The Akota's rite, twisted by desperation, reflects indigenous experiences under colonialism, traditions consumed and corrupted by external forces. The twins, born of this, symbolize hybrid monstrosities, native lore warped by settler incursions. Universal fears of the other, within emerge. The twins are family yet alien, echoing xenophobia or mental illness stigmas. Human nature's darkness looms large. The legend posits that hunger, literal or metaphorical, unleashes the beast. Thorn's transformation into guardian illustrates complicity, how good people enable evil through denial. Lyra's sacrifice highlights maternal blindness, a theme in horror like the Babadook. Symbolically, the Ozarks represent the subconscious, hidden caves as repressed memories, missed as obfuscation. The blood moon evokes menstrual cycles and rebirth, but perverted into monstrous fertility. The twins' growth accelerates time, symbolizing how trauma warps development. Connecting to broader fears, it taps into doppelganger dread, the terror of one's double as harbinger of doom. In literature, from Poe's William Wilson to modern twins in The Shining, duality chills because it questions identity. Culturally, it resonates with twin myths worldwide, Romulus and Remus founding Rome through fratricide, or African Yoruba twins as divine, yet dangerous. Intellectually, the story critiques anthropocentrism, humans as apex predators, but vulnerable to their own appetites. In an era of climate crisis and pandemics, it warns of overconsumption leading to collapse. Yet the tone remains ominous. Is the legend a mirror for us? Do we harbor our own cannibal twins, greed and denial, waiting to feast? Ponder this in the quiet hours, when shadows lengthen and hunger stirs, as our journey through the shadowed realms of the Ozark Mountains draws to a close. Let the echoes of the cannibal twins linger in your mind, a chill that defies the warmth of your surroundings. We've traversed the frozen gulches of 1893, witnessed the birth of monstrosity from desperate traditions, and peeled back the veils of history and psyche. The legend endures not as a faded whisper, but as a living entity, slithering through the underbrush of folklore, ready to ensnare the unwary. Picture the Ozarks today, trails wind through national forests. Tourists hike unaware of the bones beneath their feet. Yet, reports persist. Hikers vanishing in mist-shrouded hollows, paired footprints in the mud, eerie cries mimicking infants. Is it mere coincidence, or do Aaron and Aaron still roam, their eternal hunger drawing sustenance from the lost? The survivors of the Akota scattered, their tales seeding the legend across generations, a warning etched in oral history: tamper with the sacred, and the shadows will consume you. In summation, this is a tale of boundaries blurred, between life and death, kin and monster, survival and savagery. It leaves us with a haunting question: what famines lurk in our own souls, waiting to birth our personal horrors? As the night deepens, listen for the snap of twigs behind you, the soft duet of whispers in the wind. For the cannibal twins remind us that some legends never die, they simply wait, patient and ravenous, in the dark corners of the world. Thank you for joining me on the shadow behind you. Until next time, keep one eye on the path ahead and the other on the shadow at your back.